What happened was that the invasion of Ukraine started, and we automatically, or right from that start, were receiving lots of poems on the platform. We noticed there is a big, outpouring of sympathy on the platform, and we just thought that it's very heartwarming and really touching, and that it would be worth sharing these poems with the others as well, and especially make it somehow available for the general public, and hopefully also Ukrainians who pass by in the center or are anywhere in the world would be able to also read the wonderful kind of like pieces that were written. We also thought that it's really important for people to feel the connection as intense as possible between people, let them to express all the grief and anger they felt, and it's very helpful to put it on paper or on digital platform, basically to share it with others.
Well, I feel like it's really important to help, whether it's helping with something material or with something like anything you can. And when I was asked to do it, I didn't even think of it like twice. I was just like, yes, I want to do it because I feel like it's important, and I feel like if I would be in a similar situation, I would want to see solidarity in any sort of way.
Obviously, John Lennon's campaign for peace and a well-known place in Prague, visually appealing, aesthetically appealing, but I think it's John Lennon's message. His beliefs that kind of resonated with us, and we were all sitting around the table, and I think it was Lukáš just sprung the idea, and we kind of realized, like, okay, yeah, that's the spot.
We had more and more poems written on the platform, and we're thinking where could we place it for others to also be able to read it. And then a thought came to put it on the Lennon Wall in Prague, and it would be definitely wonderful to put it there because it goes in line with, number one, John Lennon's anti-war stance, meaning that no country should be attacking another country. Of course, the country has a right to defend, and there has to be a war that's inevitable. But taking someone's land was viewed as something in the 19th century thing to do, maybe first half of the 20th century. So the Lennon Wall was a very nice choice, also because it would be a place where more people would be able to read it, tourists that come around, and would be just able to interact with the poetry.
It's incredibly difficult to string something up or to have any sort of display at the Lennon Wall. Lukáš, though, our CEO, he's a magician. He's got a lot of connections too. And I think he's able, because he was so passionate about the project, he was able to convey it in his own words. And I think he kind of, he conveyed the importance of the project. Like, this is something that matters. And I think the overseers of all this, they saw, okay, yeah, absolutely.
I reached out to the owners of the Lennon Wall and asked them if it were possible place the poems on the wall, and it was wonderful cooperation in the sense they let us know within I think 1 or 2 days. Even Mr. Lobkowitz himself, he was okay with it, and they kind of blessed it.
Well, what's spectacular is like this. We held the event, I believe, in March, and like the letters are still up there today. I passed by, so it's. They're really getting their use, which is nice to see. I guess persistence and a bit of personal connection and importance.
It was a big shock. It's kind of a shock that you did not expect after the outbreak of Corona. That was a big shock. It was also in March in Ukraine. That was I think. In the second half of February, but it was similar timing, like in 2020 with the outbreak of Corona pandemic. That was that was a totally big shock that one did not expect. We made jokes of it in the offices, meaning that someone started coughing and we said haha, you've got Corona, and we kind of thought it's just kind of something that it's not real, it can't be real. So it got pretty real, and similar reaction was with the invasion of Ukraine. I mean, it was such a crazy thought that I think even President Zelensky didn't believe it. Like once Biden, other ones were telling him, it's just something you just don't, you don't believe that actually can happen and it would happen. Of course, also because of the historic ties between like Ukraine and Russians, it's just like, I guess something like Slovaks or Czechs attacking each other, or Polish. It's just a thought that you think is just totally absurd. Putin would like take his people, that many of them have relatives in Ukraine and Russia, that he would like make a war and go and kill the civilians and all that. At the same time, like the fact that Ukrainians resisted was amazing. Like out of all the security services, intelligence services U.S. has, only one, I think they have 18, only one of them kind of made an assumption that Kiev might not fall within the first week. The decision to go and fight, I think, was also kind of a very heroic thing to do. Something that I think the Czechs kind of like would have wanted us to have behaved differently in the past, because we were always the rational ones that kind of were okay to be occupied because we didn't want Prague to be bombed, or because we knew that we don't have stand a chance, and of course it's difficult always to compare one historic event to another one precisely, but the fact that Ukrainians stood up against an enemy against which like almost no one thought they could stand a chance, just this fact of like standing up to a bully was a very big empowering moment, I think, for all the world. I was really happy that we as Czechs had very good reactions to all of this, and also our government, which I think anyone could be doing anything better, but it never happens. It's impossible to get everything right because it's just not real. Also the people, I think that's one of the great strengths of not only Czechs but like us as humanity, and that was a very joyful moment in a way, or joyful optimistic moment, that people do rally, like people do care. We had like all these businesses doing anything they could to help. It was just about helping Ukraine, and you saw all those flags of Ukraine like hanging around the city. We immediately bought some into our offices, hung them on the wall, on the balcony. Basically anyone did anything they could to help, and I think that's wonderful. I don't think that Putin countered with this like very big strong reaction. I think he just thought we're going to be looking at it like at Syrian conflict a bit more intensively because it's Europe, but still he thought we would not care. That was really touching, the outpouring of everything, and we could also see it with organizing on the wall. They were like, we notified police, we got all the papers right, and once they came to ask me, I was worried they would be saying that it cannot last this many hours or everything. They were all very nice, like doing all the best to help. So sum it up, great disbelief that it happened, just totally angered that this is possible. Then great admiration for the Ukrainian people and the president and everyone that kind of decided not to give it for free and just like make the rational choice like the Czechs did in the history in the past. And number three, the outpouring of like all these emotions and all the help that was rallied and made was wonderful. And it wasn't just people in need, but all these NGOs like have been doing, I think, also great work.
I received feedback mainly from Czech people, but there were some Ukrainians as well, and it was positive in 99%, so I think it was a success. And yes, I think people were either motivated to help or were glad that anyone did anything to show that it matters.
And we're really happy that there were just these like wonderful reactions from the followers and people in social media. It was something that once we talked with someone in California, they kind of said, yeah, I mean, it's been great, the poems on the wall. I've seen them and read them. The reception has been great. That's why we also wanted to extend the campaign, not only for that one event, but to have it available for anyone who wants to write the poems further. It's been very well received, and we're happy for it. The greatest success would be if at least like one Ukrainian would read at least read one poem, and if it meant something to someone, meaning that they didn't feel alone, they felt that someone actually cares, then I would consider the job well done.
I feel like everything is temporary, like you don't know what could happen next day or even next minute. And yeah, I sort of realized it when all of that started happen, because you just don't know what's coming, and it could happen to anybody. So right now I'm trying to help as much as I can, like to anyone who needs help, like around me. And also I try to enjoy my life as much as I can, because I don't know what's coming.
I mean, when I first heard about the event, it's obviously heartbreaking, right? Like you lose a bit of faith in your fellow man. And I think just being here, being in Czech Republic as opposed to being back home, being in Canada, we're a bit closer, obviously, to the action. It's a bit more relevant. So yeah, it was heartbreaking, to say the least. But I remember we were actually in the office and we're working, and just the mood was dark and it was dour and no one was really talking. And all of a sudden we heard something. So we went out into the balcony and we looked down on the street, and there's just this parade of people, and they were waving Ukrainian flags and they were singing and they were holding hands. And it was just so pleasant to see that amidst all this darkness and this trouble and this turmoil, there was like this unity, I guess. So it reinstilled my faith in humanity when we witnessed that. So yes, something very, very dark and terrible happened. I mean, it's happening. But it was nice to see that, when it truly matters, we as humans can come together and unite.
Yeah, like young people should definitely be part of that. And I don't mean it as if older people shouldn't. Of course they should. But I feel like it's even more important to see that young people care about the future of everything. Many young people are creative, and many young people have so much to offer, and showing that it's possible and you can do it is important, because it can motivate them to do it as well.